My name is Dawn Canny, but when I went to college, my name was Dawn Goodenough. So if I said my entire name, it would be Dawn Goodenough Canny. And I went to college at the University of Denver, which is a college in Denver, Colorado. And it's 2012, and I graduated in 1989, so that was 23 years ago. First of all, I knew that if I wanted to go to college, that I was going to have to pay to go to college because my dad was a plumber and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and there were four children, and there was no money to send any of us to college, and so I knew that I was going to have to work really hard if I wanted to go to college. And so what I did is I was the youngest of my four sisters, and I watched the process that they went through, and I learned a lot from that. But when it came to my own process, what I did is I went to my high school counselor, and we talked a lot about the kinds of things that I wanted to do when I was out of college, and we talked about what I needed to do in order to get there. The other thing that I knew at the very beginning of high school was because there was no money for me to go to school in my family, I knew that I was going to have to work really hard in my grades and that I was going to have to be really involved. And so I worked really hard to be a good student, and then I was involved in athletics, and I was involved a lot in student government. And so those are kind of the two things, a National Honor Society and a variety of other things. Girls State and like the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Foundation I was involved in. And so what I did is I started to involve myself in a lot of things that were really a lot of fun for me. I'm glad they were fun for me because it would have been a drag to involve myself in things that were not fun for me. And so I involved myself in a lot of things that were fun for me, and I found out that I could balance my schoolwork with the things that I was involved with. And even when I was involved in some extracurricular activities, it actually made my schoolwork easier. And so when I had both of those things going on at once, it was a good thing for me. Well, as I was going through this process and I was getting all of these rejection letters, which I think it was a good thing for me to go through because it was like I was traveling down this long tunnel, and I could have taken many doors in that tunnel. Like it's a long hallway with many, many doors. And I could have taken this door or that door or the other door further down the hallway. But the good news is that as I got these rejection letters, I was able to close doors. And so it really helped me to follow the path that I was supposed to be on. And I was really evaluating between CU and CSU, not thinking that DU was going to send me anything. And then out of the blue, DU sends me almost a full ride package. And I looked at it and I said, well, and this sounds crazy because it's a private university, but it was the least expensive place given what they offered me, the least expensive place that I could go to. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go to the University of Denver. Another thing that I think is really important is pay attention to your academics. The only reason that I was able to go to school, it was not because my parents were able to pay for me to go to school. It was because I had shown a track record of working hard and getting good results in school. And so, pay attention to your academics. But then I would also say, make sure that you still are having fun. because you need to balance the two. You need to balance your academics with also having fun and doing things that you really enjoy, because you want to be a well-rounded individual. I think there are a lot of people that can focus just on one thing, but if you're not a well-rounded individual, then you're very flat. And in the application process, that will come through if you're just focusing on one thing. It will come through that you're not a dimensional individual. You want to be a multi-dimensional individual when you're applying for colleges and writing applications. And the other thing is, prepare for your PSAT and your SAT and your ACTs, but don't get nervous about them. It's just you've been prepared. You've been preparing your entire academic life to go take these tests, and just go take them. If you think you need a little bit of help after you take them the first time and you want to buy one of those books where you're going through practice tests, you can do that. But these tests are, I wouldn't get really bunged up about them. Just go and take them and see how you do and go from there. You know what? I think one thing that I would have done differently was when I was applying to military academies, that was really something that I was just doing to please my dad. It wasn't something that I think God created me for. I don't think I would have done well at a military academy. I'm just not that kind of person. For example, when I was going through my congressional interviewing process, I remember my congressman asked me at the time, this was 1984, and he asked me, he said, what do you think of women in the military academies and discrimination in the military academies? And being the really naive 17-year-old that I was at that time, I said, what discrimination? Process either. I never went to an adult and said to them, do you think that I would do well at a military academy? It was just something that I was doing because, my dad told me that I should do it, and I was trying to please him. Ultimately, it's my life, and it's just like anybody that's applying to go to colleges and choosing your profession. It's your life, and you need to do what's good for you.